Hello fellow my summer cars! After the update in May 2020, the rally suspension got two adjustment knobs. Today we are going to talk what are these knobs responsible for and what effects you will get tuning them. Those who watch this video to the end will see a great trick that changes the brake balance.
That's all.
Okay, let's start from the very beginning. Go to a garage and open the magazine. Flip through it until you see the suspension kit and create the letter. Go to the shop, drop it into the letterbox and wait half an hour of real time. Try to be far from the shop. To ensure that the order is in process, when you are at home, try to create a new letter. If you can't do it, it's fine. Parts will be delivered. Go back to the shop and pay for your parcel. The process of disassembling and installing shock absorbers remains the same for one exception. Now, to take off a wheel, you have to fully jack up the car so the wheel don't have contact with the ground. Take off front wheel. We unscrew the bolt by 12 that connects the steering knuckle and the steering rod. On the shock absorber strut, unscrew 4 bolts by 9 from the bottom and 3 nuts by 10 from the top. Take off the steering rod. You can detach the strut in the area of the support bearing. Put the new strut in the reverse order, 3 nuts by 10 on top, 4 bolts by 9 on the bottom. Install the steering rod and tighten the bolt by 12. Then finally put the wheels. These are 4 nuts by 13. Remove the car from the jack. Jack up the rear end. Remove the wheel. We unscrew the nut by 12 on the shock absorber in the trunk and 2 bolts by 6 from the bottom. Get off the shock absorber, then remove the spring. Put the rally shock absorber in the reverse order. A new spring, 2 bolts by 6 on the bottom, a nut by 12 on the top, and the wheel. Again, in newer versions of the game, you won't be able to remove wheels without a jack. Well, now let's move on to what everyone has gathered for. I just want to say thanks to Team O'Neill channel for a simple and elegant presentation of this topic. Check out the link in the description. So, there are 2 adjustments on each shock. Blue bump. It's responsible for how the shock gets compressed. If you turn clockwise by plus, the shock absorber will become harder and impact on the wheels by bumps will be more transmitted to the body. If you turn it counterclockwise by minus, the shock absorber will become softer. It means the strut will absorb the shocks, not the body. Red rebound. It regulates the expansion of the shock absorbers. If we turn the red bolt clockwise by plus, the shock absorber will return to its original state slowly. If we turn the bolt counterclockwise by minus, it will return faster. Don't get confused. We regulate the resistance of the shock absorber and the speed of its movement. Plus increases the resistance and minus makes the shock absorber quick. This applies to both bump and rebound tuning. But why we even need to adjust the suspension? Let's look at the relief and the features of the Satsuma. Firstly, more than half of the roads in the district are dirt roads. Obviously, suspension works more on them. This is not to mention the direct purpose of rally shock absorbers, the rally itself. Therefore, the settings will be for fast driving on bad roads. Secondly, the main feature of Satsuma is understeer. This means that the car ignores your steering at high speed and continues to drive straight by inertia, into tree, into water, into spectators, etc. Let's sum it up. Front wheels of the Satsuma lose traction on turns, on inertia, on acceleration and braking. Moreover, they jump on bumps, so the car loses contact with the ground and finally loses control. This is the essence of the tuning, to keep the traction with the road and try to compensate for the understeer. It sounds complicated, so let's continue to figure it out. Let's deal with the front axle. It's the one that pulls the car, turns the car and brakes it. That's why it's important to swallow bumps effectively. So the shock absorber movement must be set as free as possible, that is, soft. This applies to both bump and rebound, but there are two things. First, an excessively quick release will make the car jump after each compression, after each bump, making the handling very unstable. If you are lucky, it will resemble a spring. If not, you will face a tree. Secondly, an overly soft suspension will impair steering. Side forces acting on the car when turning will be partially absorbed by the soft suspension. For smooth asphalt where it's not necessary to compensate for bumps, the shock absorbers are made as hard as possible. Each of the adjustment knobs can be scrolled in 36 positions. Counterclockwise by minus makes it softer, clockwise by plus makes it harder. I will indicate the number of scrolls from the extreme positions of the knobs. We were looking for the golden mean in which the suspension is soft and the control doesn't suffer, and came to the following settings. Let's start with the front shocks. Bump 4 scrolls clockwise from the extreme minus position. Rebound 8 scrolls clockwise from the extreme minus position. But with the rear suspension everything was not so obvious, and I had to rely on the advice of the masters and my own feeling. Both suggest that the lightweight rear of the car should not be too soft. From the Team O'Neill we knew that the rear suspension should be slightly harder than the front to reduce understeer. Feeling tells me that on a soft suspension the back starts to wag, and at the moment when the rear wheels slide off the road onto the grass, the car suddenly loses control. The rear shock settings were nearly neutral, about 14 scrolls counterclockwise on the blue knob from the extreme plus position, about 12 scrolls counterclockwise on the red knob from the extreme plus position. These settings roughly show in which direction you need to turn knobs in order for the car to go on the dirt road. Whether you are driving a drag or driving on a highway, the shock absorber settings will be very different. If you need the standard settings and you have forgotten them, let me remind you. The blue bump regulator is 16 scrolls clockwise from the extreme minus position. The red rebound knob is all the way clockwise, by plus. I do not advise you to ride on the standard settings at all. The car behaves as a bucket filled with bolts and poop. If you watch this video up to this point and haven't gone crazy, you are now watching the bonus part, a gorgeous trick that we found on streams. Everyone who was racing on the Satsuma had to brake before tight turns. Most of us flew it forward like clockwork, losing control. The front brakes blocked the wheels, the car lost traction and therefore ignored turning. The idea is to shift the balance of the brakes to the rear part. This can only be done by loosening the front brakes, but how? Very simple, we will drain the brake fluid in front. To do this, buy brake fluid, then take open end wrench by 7 and loose the nut on the brake hose at the wheel. Get into the cabin and press the brakes. Then go back to the nut and tighten it. Now check the remaining fluid in the tanks. Add fluid to the smallest of them. By underfilling the brake fluid on the front brakes, we can shift the brake balance back and the wheels will stop blocking so much. It feels like all these settings make driving life much easier. The video deserves a like and a subscription. Thanks for watching and good luck with the tuning. See you soon!